The concept of consciousness is often misunderstood, but at its core it is far more profound than most realize. Our true essence lies closer to us than the identities we've constructed over time. Consciousness, the foundation of existence, isn't a mere byproduct of the mind, but the ultimate reality itself. Awakening, a term widely used but rarely understood, is the recognition of this truth. However, what matters is not the label but the experience of awareness, which transcends any religious or cultural identity. Awakening is like stepping out of a dream, where we've identified with a character within the play of life. The illusion of being this character confined to its limitations and experiences keeps us bound to the cycle of duality, life and death, good and bad, peace and war. But awakening reveals that we are not the character at all. In this exploration of self, the invitation is simple. Experience your true nature directly, beyond intellectual inquiry. Who are you, really? The mind tends to search for answers within itself, but true awakening requires a surrender to the unknown. Don't try to push the mind away or grasp for answers. Instead, allow everything to be as it is, and let your awareness naturally unfold. This don't know mind is crucial because awakening isn't about finding answers through thought, but about directly experiencing the self beyond thoughts. At the root of most suffering in the world is the false identification with the limited self, the character we play in this worldly drama. This delusion, the belief that we are nothing more than isolated individuals, gives rise to perpetual dissatisfaction. Even when we achieve success, pleasure or comfort, there's often an underlying feeling that something is still missing. This nagging sense of lack stems from our separation anxiety, the mistaken belief that we're cut off from something greater. This limited self constantly grasps for pleasure and avoids pain, a cycle that creates suffering both within and around us. When we believe we are merely this character with its conditioned patterns of desires and fears, we live in a state of egoic consciousness. The world in turn reflects this consciousness, full of conflict, division and suffering. Awakening alleviates this suffering both for ourselves and for those around us. When we awaken to our true nature, the false boundaries between ourselves and others dissolve. We begin to live in harmony with the world. When we stop following the preordained script that society and culture have written for us, new dimensions of reality open up. However, this isn't a path in the conventional sense. There's no destination to reach because the truth is already present, right here, in the now. It's not about accumulating more knowledge or experiences, but about stripping away the illusions that obscure our true nature. The essence of this understanding transcends religious dogma. Whether through meditation, spiritual traditions, or direct inquiry, awakening is available to anyone willing to look beyond the superficial layers of existence. It's not about adopting exotic practices or isolating oneself from the world. It's about recognizing that the core of this understanding is within reach for everyone, regardless of their cultural or religious background. Many people in the West, particularly in the last century, turned to Eastern philosophies for answers, believing that the non-dual understanding was something foreign or mystical. But as more people began to see, the core of this understanding is universal. It doesn't require abandoning one's life or adopting an entirely new identity. Instead, it involves seeing the truth of who we are amidst the ordinary, everyday experience of life. The biggest question one can ask is, who am I? This question transcends the physical realm and ventures into the spiritual. Are we simply physical entities here for a short time, or are we spiritual beings having a human experience? This inquiry is essential as it determines how we live our lives. The experiences we go through all point us back to this one universal question. However, the answer does not lie in the mind. Instead, it is found in awareness, the space in which all thoughts, emotions, and sensations arise. As we inquire into who we are, we may feel a range of emotions, thoughts, and sensations. But what remains constant? Who is aware of the mind? Who is aware of the feelings? This line of inquiry leads to a direct experience of the self, not as the character we've believed ourselves to be, but as the awareness in which the character appears. Science too is beginning to explore the fundamental nature of consciousness. For years, the physicalist viewpoint dominated scientific thought, reducing human beings to mere biological machines. But modern research, particularly in fields like physics and cognitive science, is challenging this assumption. The idea that space-time and physical objects are not the ultimate reality opens the door to new ways of thinking about consciousness. Some researchers propose that consciousness is not a byproduct of the brain, but the foundation from which everything arises. If this is true, then what we perceive as the material world is simply the activity of consciousness, viewed from a limited, localized perspective. From this perspective, the world of multiplicity, separate objects, people, and things is merely an illusion. In reality, there is only one infinite consciousness expressing itself in myriad forms. When we awaken to this truth, the boundaries between self and other dissolve. We realize that the same consciousness shines through everyone and everything. This realization fundamentally changes how we interact with the world. The egoic tendency to see ourselves as separate falls away, and we naturally begin to live in a state of unity with all beings. In essence, awakening is not about escaping the physical world, but about seeing it for what it truly is, a manifestation of consciousness. By understanding this, we change our relationship with everything around us. We stop seeking fulfillment in external things and instead recognize that the peace and happiness we've been searching for are already within us, inherent in our true nature.